Watching me, like, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to.
Why? I put him in the room. He fell back asleep.
Welcome to this special documentary edition of Jaguar News. I'm Sarah Cowherd, and I'll be your host for this show. Like Barbara Walters, but more black. Today, we're going to be viewing some documentaries made by our very own Jag News seniors and one junior. The first documentary we'll be looking at is created by Blanca Ramos. It's titled A Step into South Phoenix, and it's about the Tiger Mountain Foundation, which helps incarcerated people stay out of the system.
I grew up in a what some people might consider a low-income neighborhood, but quite frankly, for me, it was everything that a young man could possibly ever want and imagine from human beings. So there was definitely the good. There's no doubt there was quite a bit of bad. I did some things that I don't do in life anymore. I've had to go through quite a few hurdles to get from one stage of my life to the next.
I've been to prison twice. Between both times, I think it was like 9.5 years. People get out of prison, they stay out no more than 6 months to a year. They get in trouble again and go right back.
I was growing up with all these different kind of guys in my neighborhood, and when I got my scholarship, couldn't bring these guys with me. They all couldn't get a scholarship to college. So I thought to myself, I gotta be able to do something back in my neighborhood that actually will allow me to still be with some of these very same beautiful people.
I was introduced by my kids. My kids worked there. When I came, I looked around and I always said that this job wasn't something that I wanted to do.
Tiger Mountain Foundation is a best practice nonprofit organization.
I can actually come here, communicate with the community, and enjoy myself instead of coming to this area and having problems. This is a whole new different genre for me right now, so I enjoy it. I love it.
What I hope to achieve from this foundation is an opportunity for folks that grew up in the neighborhoods like myself to have an opportunity to do some of the things that I've been able to do in life.
Me being a gardener, I never thought that I'd be doing something like this in a million years. With Darren and the seniors that work with us, I kind of like learn from them. A little motivation to get you a long way.
Tiger Mountain Foundation has helped hundreds of families. When you look at Tiger Mountain Foundation, because we're at farmers markets, we also take produce to restaurants. We also consult other people on how to build their community gardens. When you look at Tiger Mountain from that perspective, we've helped thousands of families here in metropolitan Phoenix and across the United States of America. Your success is actually based on how you forward your life personally, how you accomplish some things that you personally want to do, and how you might take care of some of those different things in your community that actually make your life better.
People on the other side of the gate that walks up and down Broadway all the time. They come in and sometimes they'll give you their story.
My success might be that, you know, I keep myself sober, or I keep myself mentally aware, or I keep myself feeling good about myself. You know, those might seem like small victories, but they're actually huge, and that's what the success of each individual means to Tiger Mountain Foundation.
No matter what you've done, because we don't judge. You do your time. To us, you paid your debt to society, and you come to us, we open the door, we show you what to do, and it's up to that person to either learn or to go back. We don't turn nobody away. But we're trying to build community, and we're trying to build family.
A lot of these diamonds in our community can be polished, and just like myself, as I came from behind bars, have an opportunity to do well in life. Success is measured in a lot of different ways. We are all diamonds, and I want folks to walk away with an idea on how to be able to shine themselves, sparkle themselves, and come out from behind those bars as that beautiful diamond that you are.
I'm sitting here with Blanca Ramos. Now, Blanca, could you tell us a little bit about your favorite part of making this documentary? It was great, by the way.
Yeah, so my favorite part about making this documentary is just going into the Tiger Mountain Foundation and talking to the people that have been incarcerated. All of these people want to better their lives, so that was something that was great to hear, great to see, because they were not only saying it, but they were doing it. So that was one of my favorite parts of doing my documentary.
That's really fantastic. Unfortunately, Oscar couldn't be here with us to discuss his documentary further, but as you can see, his work speaks for itself.
Verizon is helping to promote innovative learning by awarding thousands of dollars to schools around the country.
So we have the all-girls app team from Resaca Middle School.
Our commitment is part of this Verizon grant.
New this morning, Verizon Wireless will be presenting a private school in Delano with a big check to help train the next generation of scientists and engineers.
What is the purpose of the virtual environment? It gives you abilities that you would otherwise not have in the physical world.
Where Verizon has given a $20,000 grant to the STEM program of their school.
Today is a huge deal, right? It's a huge gain, it's a huge feat.
Parents are worried about what happens, so as administration staff.
The $20,000 grant will help provide teachers at Paramount Academy with new resources to engage students in science, technology, engineering, and math. It's all part of the school's new STEM program, which focuses on advancing education in these subjects.
And with technology at your fingertips, Verizon Innovative Learning is helping you turn your passions into possibilities.
What do you want to do when you grow up? Maybe you thought about being a construction worker or a cashier at a fast food restaurant. Hey, I'm not judging, but have you ever thought of jobs that might not exist just yet? Let me explain. Not too long ago, virtual reality was just an idea that we didn't really consider as a helpful tool in our future. Well, look at us now. Not just that, but imagine how many people can make a living off of advancing the VR or repairing headsets. See what I mean? So, with that in mind, I present to you Verizon Innovative Learning.
So the Innovative Design Thinking program is a way to bring innovative technologies and immersive hands-on curriculum to high school students across the country.
The program started in 2014, and basically the Verizon Foundation was really interested in doing a program around engaging more students in STEM and entrepreneurship, and especially design thinking. And design thinking is basically creative problem solving, but it's all based on a user. So empathy is very key and important to it.
I started with Katie Clemens, who's my supervisor, and she's actually my supervisor as well. She really had an internship with ASU. She was approached to be a member of the Verizon Foundation, and she had already been working on something around design thinking, and Verizon Foundation was very interested in doing something with design thinking and pairing that with technology, because they already had a lot of programs out that were intended to help specifically students in low-income areas, to try to get them, the same experience that students in high-income areas were getting, because obviously we know that students that go to a wealthier school are going to have more opportunities. So they were really trying to bridge that gap and really try to empower communities to thrive as well.
So, I'll make it a bit simpler for you to understand. Basically, when Verizon teamed up with ASU, they started the program known as Verizon Innovative Learning. The program was for those few lucky schools that applied for the grant and got selected. So, what does this mean exactly? Well, with this much money, we can put an investment towards AR and VR. And think about it, not a lot of schools have that type of stuff. We're actually pretty lucky. But better yet, think of the possibilities that we have.
So we have teachers fly all across the United States and come to Phoenix in the fall to do a 3-day institute. So we basically take them through an entire year in 3.5 days. And then throughout the school year, we do conduct site visits and Saturday trainings. And so we recently had one here in Phoenix a few months ago. And so during that training, all of our local teachers from around the city of Phoenix and Miami, Arizona, came to our office and spent the entire day with us working on workshops and sessions about design thinking, entrepreneurship, and then emerging technology, as well as the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And that's just to provide teachers the tools and additional resources that they can use with their students to implement the program.
I wanted to learn more about AR and VR in general, so I talked with Senior Specialist for Entrepreneurship and Technology Education, Kimberly Reynolds.
Virtual reality is when you are totally immersed in a world that is not real. It can have elements of what's real, but it really is a make-believe. If you've ever watched Star Trek or a lot of the old sci-fi movies, they always have like holodecks where people can go in and be like on other planets. That's what virtual reality is. How we're using it in the program is we're using 360 cameras, and we're having students go and do virtual reality 360 tours of the businesses that they're involved in, of their schools, different things that are going on around the community. So they're taking that real element and they're taking and turning it into virtual by making it 360. So somebody can take the headset and put it on, and then they can look all around and see the different parts and see everything that's going on. So why the main part of the video may be pointing this way, with the VR headset and in the 360 they can turn around and see what's going on, so they really feel like they're in it. Another part of virtual reality that we're just beginning to delve into with the students is actual creating virtual reality worlds. So right now they're creating virtual reality from something that exists by doing 360 videos and photos, but using different programs we're going to start letting the students create their own world. Things like paramedics and police officers and doctors are now using virtual reality experiences. Virtual reality is really starting to become an important part of business, an important part of education, and our students learning how to create in virtual reality is just really setting them up for the future.
So every day, like, our world is changing. Even with me starting in this program in September, I'm just learning so much about augmented reality and virtual reality. And so far, we've really focused a lot on augmented reality. And I didn't even know that was Snapchat or Pokemon Go before I started.
So AR is augmented reality. So you're taking something that actually exists and adding something over it. So if you've ever used Snapchat, the Snapchat filters, your face becomes a trigger for the app, for the augmented reality, and then the little bunny ears, or the, when you open up your mouth and things shoot out of it, that's the overlay, or that's the augmentation of reality that makes it AR. Students are taking business cards. They're either taking the existing business card that a business has, or even creating a whole new business card, and they're using that as a trigger image. And then from the trigger image, they get an overlay. So they create the trigger image, so when somebody scans the business card with an app called HP Reveal, an overlay will pop up, and that overlay can be a video. So for some of our students, they've done like interviews with a small business owner, and they've just done like a 10 to 15 seconds about, hey, come to our business, this is where we're at, this is what we do, we'd love to see you. So they scan the business card, and then you get the video going. So with the augmented reality and the augmented reality business cards, they can make that overlay pretty much anything they want. It can be videos, pictures, links, just about anything. And augmented reality, again, is becoming very prevalent. So learning how to use the augmented reality for our students is really preparing them for jobs of the future.
So, in the end, what did I get from this? Well, to be honest with you, I learned a lot. And if I were to just list some of the things off the top of my head, it would be teamwork, hardship, integrity, and dedication. Competition can be fierce, and you might feel overwhelmed at times, and I get it, but I'm here to tell you that you don't have to feel that way. Not only that, but we're changing history as we know it. This is what the world needs, change appearing right in front of our eyes. It's your time, and your time to change the world. We are the future, and the future is now. We are innovation.
Our next documentary is by Tayi Lamar and is about after-school programs. Let's take a look at where do we go from here.
As the school day ends in Plainfield, New Jersey, most students head home. But about 350 of them take to the cafeterias, gyms, and classrooms for a federally funded after-school program known as 21st Century Community Learning Centers.
Pick two fractions. We align what we do to the school day to support school day teachers, but with after school and summer learning opportunities, we can really hone in on our instructional craft and be more innovative.
I really think it's important because it could help you learn a lot of more things that regular schools don't teach you.
There's so many studies that say that after school time is just critical for what our kids may go through, what they may face. If they don't have a place to go, they're probably roaming the streets. I mean, they could be potentially by themselves, mom and dad working. We don't know what their situations are. So having that safe place provides an opportunity for them to learn and grow in a safe environment.
Some kids don't have the necessary supplies at home. They don't have the people to help them, nor do they have people that really care about them all the time. So some kids really need teachers that will work with them after school and care for them.
My opinion of after school programs is that it's a great way for kids to get out of trouble, do something after school, and stay productive. After school programs will affect children in a positive way because it will teach them to communicate with others and to be themselves.
You can help them all day with their homework, do this, do that. Negatively, you can just be another teacher who doesn't care.
I mean, basketball, it affected me, like, it gave me something to do after school and, like, something to look forward to.
It affected me positively because my teacher, she really cared for me. She was just like, she was more like a big sister, you can say, and she really helped me a lot with a lot of my work, a lot of stuff that I didn't understand.
Softball affected me because it kept me out of trouble after school, and it was fun, and it really taught me to communicate with others.
Your teacher has to work with all the kids. It's never really a one-on-one situation. And with aftercare teachers, they can really help you. And for me, it was super positive because I learned a lot. And I got to meet somebody that I still talk to till this day as like a mentor. Change the people that they let work with kids, because I know a lot of places let anybody work with kids, and you should really have to go through background checks. You should have to have, experience along the lines and what you're doing, because I know in my old job, they let anybody work with them, and it negatively affected the kids as well as the teachers because they don't know how to work with kids, so they get frustrated and they want to hurry up and leave, when in reality you just have to have patience. They don't have to have understanding. I think because there's teachers that don't want to work there. I think there's teachers that don't see the bigger picture, that don't realize how good aftercare programs can be, that rather go home. It should really be pressed for minorities because we don't have the same resources as, the next rich kid that's going to private school. So we really need that extra one-on-one time. There's some minorities that are way smart, IQ is super high, but then there's some that really need that personal attention and that extra one-on-one time to help with homework or, tutoring, reading, whatever it may be in specific areas.
To provide a safe place for our members. That's my number one priority. It's just that they're safe. And second, that our kids are given all of the information that they could ever need to make positive decisions in the future.
It makes me patient, and they really confide in me about a lot, and I can really sit and talk to my kids. They can be honest with me and I can be honest with them no matter age. They like to be there, and I like to come to work because my kids make my day better. I could be like, oh, I don't want to go to work. And I just see my kids and they're just like, oh, Miss Jackie, hey. And I don't know, it makes me feel good to know that there's kids that really look up to me, so therefore I have to be a good person within myself.
It's not about my hardships that make me special, but the way I overcome them to enhance my future.
Ramona Dixon has just been announced as the Youth of the Year for 2010 through 2011. She's a freshman at Arizona State University. She is a longtime member of the Boys and Girls Club, and she can tell them a little bit about your history, where you've come from, and what you've been doing.
I'm 25, but up until I was 13 years old, my family and I were actually homeless, so we were literally going in dumpsters and pulling out cardboard boxes and sleeping on them in San Diego, California. It was very hard to focus on schoolwork because I was always thinking about where my next meal was coming from, or if my family is okay, or better yet, where are we even going to sleep that night. But it was one thing my mom always taught me, that it's not about my obstacles that were going to make me special, but how I overcome them that was going to make me be unique and stand out from everyone else. So she decided to move from San Diego to Tempe, Arizona when I was 10 years old. And we were still homeless for a time period from there, but we started going to live at UMOM New Day Centers, which was a long-term shelter. And that shelter finally provided us with stability, 3 meals a day, a place to go every day after school. Finally, after that, I started going to the Boys and Girls Club. The Boys and Girls Club affected my life from the very beginning. It provided me with all the resources that I needed in order to be successful in school, and it also gave me a family. But from there, it helped me to graduate from high school, third in my class, and then it helped me to win scholarship money to go on after high school and be successful. After graduating high school, I became the National Youth of the Year for Boys and Girls Clubs of America, where I got to travel the world and basically represent the over 4.2 million youth that the Boys and Girls Club serves, and just sharing my story on how the Boys and Girls Club impacted my life. I couldn't believe that I was being named the National Youth of the Year. I couldn't believe that I was getting to meet very influential individuals. I couldn't believe that I was at the White House, or I was just like, oh my God, 4 years ago I was homeless, you know. I definitely didn't think that this was really happening to me, even though that it was. I was in Essence magazine for being one of 28 most influential African American women in America, and it was a top 28 power list. So the other people that were on here was like Oprah and Michelle Obama and Jada Pinkett Smith. So it was a huge list, and I was only 18 years old at that time. So
For the students at the S.L. Lewis Elementary School in College Park, Georgia, the school day is done. But the learning is not over. More than 130 of the students, most of whom live in low-income households, are part of an after-school program called Wings for Kids. But under President Trump's new proposed federal budget, Wings' primary source of funding would be eliminated.
The $1 billion cuts to the 21st Century Learning Centers are about the same amount President Trump is proposing to offer to charter schools in his budget.
Deep cuts at the Department of Education, but supporters of the move say the $9 billion rollback will put the department on a much-needed diet. Relies on federal funds to survive. Relies on federal funds to survive. Relies on federal funds to survive.
If I had to tell President Trump about cutting after school programs, there's kids that really need teachers and other people besides family, besides their everyday Monday through Friday teacher. They need another person that can come and, talk to them and they can listen to them.
Our after-school programs are needed. How else do we keep our kids off the streets? If they're not in programs, then they're on the streets causing problems for people's businesses, which he strongly believes in. So would you rather have a kid going to the Boys and Girls Club or the YMCA or whatever after-school program learning about how to build a business, or would you rather them out in the streets terrorizing businesses and taking them?
They need people there for them, especially the minorities.
He is going to affect children's grade.
You have no idea the value that these hours after school give to a child. Whether they are fed, whether they have someone that they can trust at home, you have no idea what they're facing. You take after school away, you potentially take their entire future, because then they have nothing.
I feel like it's very unnecessary because normally it's not so often that after school happens. And in certain schools they don't have it. It helps a lot and it boosts our confidence in a lot.
To the program, they will go either home to unsupervised houses, or their parents will be required to quit their jobs and stay home with them.
Jessica Williams has 2 daughters in the program. What happens if it goes away?
I really don't know how I really don't know.
I don't see many people that look like me succeed in doing it because it's the way that the teachers and the special people teach us, and it's really hard for us to learn a lot of that. I sometimes have struggle in doing it, and then our classes end early, so after school can teach me a lot more things.
Ninety 90% of Boys and Girls Club members graduate from high school, and we're working on, obviously, on that other 10%, but that's the focus of our new initiative,
right,
to make sure that each and every child has the opportunity to graduate from high school.
So let's talk about
And by the way,
yeah,
Ramona graduated with a 3.92 grade point average.
we could use those smarts around here, I'll tell you that, right here in the newsroom.
Pick yourself back up, seems like you're always fighting. You never need a reason or a cause when the lights are out and all the rest are hiding. You'll be the one pacing up and down, waiting for your moment. Like it's taken you a lifetime to prepare, standing up to them, giving everything, but needless to say, you're just a stranger to me, and I don't know.
That was very insightful. Tai, could you tell us a little bit more about your documentary?
Well, I actually got the idea, well, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do for it, so it just came to me. So I was like, what topic should I use that's going to relate to everyone, younger ages to older? And then I thought about after school programs, and then I was able to find people that related to this topic that will be really influential. And then I think after finishing the documentary, it was really powerful because of all of the teacher walkouts and everything, and how parents had to find places for their kids to go, and then like just letting people know, aware people of after school programs and how important they are seemed like a good idea to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. That's really great. Next up, we have Just Another Day by Adriana Torres, a documentary that touches on an important topic, teenage depression.
Social media has glorified depression and anxiety. It seems people are so eager to seem depressed. However, no one seems to be doing anything about this depressed generation. Depression and anxiety are things not to be joked with. However, with the glorification of mental health issues, people, and in this case, teenagers, aren't getting the help they need. Here's Just Another Day.
You can't always just pinpoint where, like, here's where depression started, or here's like how it was the story for me. It's just like before you know it, you're in a like dark pit of like, you know, despair that's cold and lonely, and all of a sudden you don't know how you got there or how everything accumulates to get you there. You just kind of feel like you're there. At least for me, you know, when I found myself in that position, I was probably like 18, and I didn't know what to do. You know, I had just graduated high school, and I didn't think that I should be feeling sad, but I did, and I didn't feel like I could talk to anybody about it either. So a bit of my story was just trying to uncover why I felt so bad, why I felt so, like, you know, disassociated, like I couldn't connect to a thing, you know, like, I don't know, you sometimes feel like you can't connect to people or to, like, other things that other people seem to have such easy connections about, you know.
So then there's also a difference between clinical depression and like down moods, right? And so with clinical depression, that would be a period of like at least 2 weeks with like down mood more days than not, loss of interest in things that you previously enjoyed. In teenagers, it can also be, or most often is like irritability, anger outbursts, difficulty focusing, concentrating in school, missing school, not wanting to get out of bed, changes in appetite, changes in weight, so like weight gain or weight loss, changes, sleep disturbances, sleeping too much. Sleeping too much is far more common than sleeping too little. Like not wanting to hang out with friends, isolation with depression is really common. So especially with teenagers, like not wanting to sit with friends at lunch or not really like engaging.
I was in a psychiatric hospital, right, for about 2 weeks. I don't know how it ended up there. You know, like we were saying earlier, you just kind of end up one day in a really dark place. So, feeling suicidal for so long, and one day I just kind of told my brother that that's how I had been feeling, and these things that were sort of consuming me inside. And he was like, "Let's go out to eat." And instead of going out to eat, he took me to the hospital, and then they kind of asked me a bunch of questions, and then they were like, "We can't let you leave. We got to send you to a specialized hospital, and you're going to stay there until you get reevaluated and checked on daily." I didn't think it was all that serious, you know, because that's not how you think about things. But yeah, it was terrible.
So with anxiety, people can have panic attacks or anxiety attacks, which would be, you'd have like physiological changes, right? So like increase in your heart rate, your face would get flushed, you'd feel, some people feel like they're gonna like literally die. You can have this sensation where like you stop being able to hear almost, like everything goes like white and it feels like you're gonna faint sometimes. But anxiety can just be feeling overwhelmed, which is also similar with depression. A lot of times, depression, you feel just overwhelmed with like sadness. Anxiety can feel that same sense of overwhelm, but with different things. So overwhelmed with schoolwork is really common, or the future. A lot of times with anxiety, it's when we stop living in the present and that the future takes over, and so then we have those anxious thoughts that happen.
Powerful. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the struggles you went through while creating this project?
So some of the struggles that I had were getting people to be in my video because they would drop out, and it was like constantly going back and forth between, oh, I have actors, now I don't have actors. I have interviews, now I don't have interviews. And it was just a really just wild roller coaster ride.
Wow, what an impactful message. Last up, we have a documentary made by your very own Sarah Calhoun. My documentary is called Footprints, and it's about the legal procedures, or lack thereof, in place to prevent and take care of cyberbullying situations. Let's take a look. The Blue Whale Challenge was an internet challenge created by a psychology student. The challenge prompted vulnerable teenagers to participate in different tasks, one a day for 50 days, each one becoming increasingly sinister. The administrator hacked into victims' phones and essentially blackmailed them into doing the challenges, which ended on day 50, with a walk to their demise. The man behind the challenge is now in jail, but let's think smaller. Past phones being hacked and the bad guy being put in jail. What lurks behind the seemingly ordinary in our own communities? In a generation of loud opinions, insecurities, and subtweets, how do we cope? On my journey to understanding the legal procedures, or lack thereof, in place to prevent and take care of cyberbullying situations, I started at the most logical place I could think of, the police department. After a plethora of calls and transfers between departments and an email exchange with the Phoenix FBI in which they just stopped responding, I was not able to get an interview with the police officer set up. In the end, the SRO at my school was open to interview. However, the whole situation made me ask myself, are these the same obstacles that victims have to go through?
For the police department anyway, it's pretty much the same kind of concept as any other crime. So initially it gets reported to us, and then whatever documentation you have, whether it's screenshots or web addresses or phone numbers, whatever information that you're able to provide with us, then we start to investigate that crime. So we have detectives that deal with internet crimes and harassment and bullying and things like that. So it would go towards them and they would start the investigation on that. Once you are a victim of a crime, you have the option, you're given a victim rights advocate who helps you through the process and can direct you towards counseling services, and that it happened over the internet or it happened over a phone doesn't take away from it still being a provable offense. So I mean, as long as you're able to identify who the suspect is and you can track the fact that they were the one that was doing it, then you have the same kind of crime as if somebody punched you. It's the same concept.
Police procedure for cyberbullying seems simple enough. However, it's more complicated than a phone call for some. What lies in school policy for those not comfortable with going to the police? What procedures are in place in the school to prevent cyberbullying? What procedures are in place to make school a safe space? These are among the questions I sought answers to when I spoke to the school principal of South Mountain High School.
Well, we identify cyberbullying through what I'm going to call vigilance, and vigilance is just the campus community's ability to report these things when they occur to just about any adult on campus. So our student handbook is very clear on the consequences or the dispositions for bullying, which includes cyberbullying. They are suspendable offenses. Students can be suspended off campus for a short term, 1 to 3 days, or even long term suspended up to 9 days or more. So 2 to 3 years ago, the state legislature did pass a statute that essentially said any cyberbullying that occurs off campus that comes onto the campus is a punishable offense that we can follow up on as a school. With that law in place, schools across the state do have more flexibility to follow up on cyberbullying and be more proactive with it, because if it occurs on or off the campus, based on that new statute, we have the authority to follow up on it.
In the end, online activity is just another step in the journey of figuring out the way that we map and change where our footprints take us. According to bullyingstatistics.org, well over half of cyberbullying victims don't tell their parents when cyberbullying occurs. To those people, consider this a sign. No situation is too embarrassing or too minuscule when the choice is between telling somebody and your life. This may be the end of this video, But it's not the end of our fight to end cyberbullying, and most importantly, it's not the end of you. Well, that's about all we have for this show. We hope you enjoyed watching The Future of Media. Good night.